Hello my friends and welcome to this quick and brief revision in chemistry. I have noticed that the majority of my students, whether at university or at school, claim that chemistry is a difficult and unbearable subject. After investigating this problem, I have realized that the main reason students don't like chemistry and consider it as an obnoxious subject is that they lack a solid ground in the basic principles of chemistry. In this educational series, we will allocate some videos to reinforce these principles for our dear students so that they will find chemistry more enjoyable and an easier subject. I guarantee every student who watches these videos and do the homework, I will give at the end of every video a full understanding for chemistry, whether studying American, British, or any other syllabuses in the world. In each video, we will ask a question or two, and then when we will answer them, after that, we are going to explain the principle and we will give homework for the next class. Now let's start with our question today. Our question today is, what are the parts or subparticles of the atom? Well, before we study the parts of the atom, as we said, we should take into consideration the definition of the atom. The atom is defined as the smallest part of the matter which cannot be divided into smaller parts. That means if you take an atom and you try to split it into two identical parts, this is going to be practically impossible. And now let's talk about the parts of the atom. As you know, there are two main parts of every atom in the world. The first part is called the nucleus, whether the other part is called the electronic shells. You can easily understand that the electronic shells include electrons. And those electrons are charged negatively. So we say that there are negative electrons inside these electronic shells. On the other side, you can notice that there is two types of particles inside this atom, and those are called the nucleons. We have two types of nucleons. The first type is called positive protons, and we have neutral neutrons. Now let's try to draw an atom in front of us to understand the principle. First, this is the nucleus, and those are called the electronic shells. The nucleus, as we said, includes positive protons and neutral neutrons. In addition to the nucleons, the positive protons and the neutral neutrons inside the nucleus, we can see the negative electrons distributed on the electronic shells as we see. In order to summarize this information, we can use this simple chart. In this chart, I am going to mention all the subparticles existed in the atom in brief. The first one, which is the proton, and as we know, it is positively charged and its charge is a +1. The neutron is neutral, and in the next classes we are going to differentiate between the word neutral and uncharged, because there is a misunderstanding among a lot of students who say that the neutron is non or uncharged, and it's in fact neutral. And then we have the electron, which is negatively charged. The symbols are P for the proton, N for the neutron, and E for electron, and we are going to study them in isolation next. Now, my friends, if we want to study the atom seriously, we have to take into consideration three basic principles. A lot of students don't understand or have difficulties in understanding the chemical equations because they don't really understand those three principles. So please keep your eyes open and follow with me. In here, the first basic principle says that or stipulates that the atom is neutrally charged. Generally, as you all know, that we have negative electrons and positive protons inside the atom. So generally, the number of electrons in the electronic shells is generally equal to the number of protons inside the nucleus. This is what we say a free element. So when the number of protons inside the nucleus is equal to the number of electrons in the electronic shells are equal, we call the atom free element. And we call the atom, we say that the atom is in the ground state. The second principle stipulates that if an atom loses one or more electrons, you're going to notice that the number of electrons is going to be smaller than the number of protons. And the atom becomes positively charged, and we call it positive ion. So when the atom loses one or more electrons, it's going to be positively charged, and it's not going to be called an atom anymore. It's going to be called an ion, sorry. And we call the positive ion cation. The last possibility for the atom is when an atom, or if an atom gains, here we give the electrons back to the atom, and the last possibility, if an atom gains new electrons, one or more electrons, the number of electrons is going to be bigger than the number of protons. And the atom becomes negatively charged, and it's going to be called negative ion, or we can call it an anion. So in brief, the atom is neutrally charged, meaning that the number of electrons in the orbits, or we call them the electronic shells, is equal to the number of protons inside the nucleus, which makes the atom neutrally charged, and we call it in the ground state. When the atom loses or gains electrons, it is going to be an ion, and is going to be positive ion, cation, or negative ion, anion, and that depends on losing or gaining electrons. That's it for today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed my class. As homework, I will write, after I clean the board, I will write homework for you, and I hope you are going to do it. In the next class, we are going to study the components of the atom, the subparticles, each in isolation, and I hope you are going to be with me and you will enjoy the class with me as you did now. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe to my channel and try to give me any comments on my methodologies in teaching. Now, my friends, let me present my homework for you today. Question number 1, define the following terms: a free element, a neutral atom, a cation, an anion, and last but not least, a monoatomic ion. And in question number 2, please try to fill in these blanks from what you have learned in my class. If you want, you can also join my Kahoot games about the same topic. Just try to go to Kahoot and search for Mr.Odait chemistry course. Then you are going to see a Kahoot game, special Kahoot game for this topic. Thank you so much, and see you next class so that we are going to solve this problem together. Thank you so much, and see you. Bye.